This is going to be a recorded demonstration of the extra credit template to go and be able to import a publicly traded financial statement for any company. We'll use Boeing for purposes of this example. So in sheet 1 in the extra credit template that is downloaded for use, we will do a get external data from web. And we'll use Yahoo. Once you have Yahoo up, you're going to scroll down to Yahoo Finance. If you get any kind of running scripts, just click through it. I'm going to use the Boeing company for purposes, as I mentioned. Scroll down to the bottom, begin with the income statement. And once we get here, we'll copy that to the clipboard so that we can quickly come back to this point and be able to pull the balance sheet. Check the box highlighting the financial statement. Import. We're going to import it into cell 1A. And there is the income statement. Come over, select the same item, paste in the URL that we took from the last one. That way you're back with the Boeing company. You're in the income statement right now, but now you just simply have to scroll down here and select the balance sheet. Highlight that by selecting the right facing arrow. Import. And now we have both the income statement and the balance sheet downloaded into our template. We're going to start with the income statement. The first thing we're going to do is group these two. So by holding down the control key while I'm in sheet 1 is active. It's the green color down here in the bottom. I'm going to hold down the control and I'm going to left click sheet 2. And you'll see at the very top where it says extra credit template -Excel in the middle of the top screen, it now says group. So up here, where I'm pointing with my arrow, it is grouped those two. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete E. I'm then going to format E as a percentage with 0 decimal places. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to put a header at the top that is percentage. The header over here is difference. And this sheet is going to be, I'm going to pull up the Format Cell dialog box. And I'm going to select number, 0 decimal places. I'm going to use the 1000 separator. And I'm going to make my numbers red with brackets. Alright, so what I have here, this one is percentage with 0 decimal places. And then I'm going to copy this over to G. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the width down to somewhere around 5. It doesn't have to be exact, so that the screen just looks a little bit more readable that way. That's all I'm going to do for both the income statement and the balance sheet, so I can now ungroup these two. You can see that the group indicator at the top is now gone, and all I've done is I've clicked any sheet outside the group, which is the answer sheet. So now beginning in sheet 1, I can equal sign. I'm going to divide D1 by D2. D2 by D2. And I'm going to anchor the row. So I pressed F4 in a Windows-based, or actually typed in the $ in front of the row indicator 2. And then for differences, it's going to be the current year, 2014 in this case, minus the prior year, 2013. And then for the last percentage, I'm going to divide that difference by the base year, which is D2. Both of these, we don't need any absolute anchoring on either one of these, because that entire formula in both F and G are going to move as we go down. Highlight both of those. I just held down the Shift key. I moved my cursor right 2 cells to highlight all 3 of those. Control C copies it to the clipboard, and Control V then pastes it down to any cell, any row that has data in both years. So this discontinued operation I'm not going to do. It's not applicable. Net income should be the last of the cells. All right. And just to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to freeze the pane so that as you scroll up and down, the headers stay the same. Now I've got my vertical analysis done for 2013. I've got my horizontal analysis done for all of the various rows that had data for both 2014 and 13. So now I just need to bring this over. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to insert the copied cells. And that completes the vertical analysis for 2014. So now I've got 2 years of vertical as well as horizontal analysis. All of these percentages in the vertical analysis are anchored with total revenue. I'm going to go over to sheet 2, and I'm going to do the same basic set of calculations, only this time I'm going to anchor the denominator with total assets. Do an absolute with the D20 on the row 20 once again. Subtract the current year from the prior year for differences, and then divide that difference by the base year, which is the oldest year. Start copying this down. Once again, taking care to make sure that we've got numbers in both years. Don't worry about the little pound signs there. And that's that. I'm going to freeze this once again. And now if I just double click up here, see where my cell, my cursor goes from a plus sign here up to a vertical line with arrows pointing in both directions. Double click that, and that widens the F cell to display the negative numbers, which was previously it wasn't wide enough. And then lastly, do this copy, insert copied cells once again. So now we've got vertical and horizontal analysis complete on the balance sheet. The last step of this project is to go pick the numbers that we need for our ratio analysis. And that's on the answer sheet tab. The numbers are going to go into the yellow shaded areas. By utilizing those cells, you will automatically calculate the values. So the current ratio is coming from sheet 2. That is current assets and current liabilities. Total current liabilities for the current year, for 2014 in this case. So you can see Boeing has a 1.2 current ratio. The acid test denominator is going to be total current liabilities. That's the number directly above. But for the numerator, I'm going to use over here current assets, the acid test assets. And that is cash and cash equivalents, short-term investments, and net receivables. These are the items that could be turned into cash. These are the accounts that if you had to, you could turn them into cash by the end of the week. And that gives us a 0.4. Now, I don't want you to forget the working capital number here at the top. Now, working capital is simply current assets, which is down here in D9, minus current liabilities over in H9. So type that in, it's 11,068. Accounts receivable turnover. The numerator is from sheet 1 from the income statement, and that is total revenue. The denominator is average accounts receivable. So we take the net receivables at the end of the year, we add to it in the next cell over here in I11 the receivables from the beginning of the year, the end of last year, and the template automatically adds those two together to come up with the average, and then divide that into total revenues, and you get a turnover of 12.2. So they've collected their receivables, their net sales in receivables 12 times, which averages out to a 29.8 days sales in receivables. And that's just taking the calculated value from row 11, bringing that down as a denominator, which the template automatically does, and divide that turnover ratio into the number of days in the year, which is 365. So here, I can make this a little bigger so that we can watch it. All right, inventory turnover. Similar type calculation, only this is going to use cost of revenue. So cost of revenue from sheet 1 and average inventory. So we have inventory from the end of the year plus the inventory from the beginning of the year, and then divide that sum by 2, divide that 44.834 billion into the 76.7, and you get 1.6. So Boeing has 222 days of inventory on average in stock at any point in time. Return on common shareholders, the numerator, and here we can kind of lock in the ratio again so that the headers stay up visible. So on this one, we're going to return on common shareholders' equity. The numerator is going to be net income, which is right here. And then average shareholders, total shareholders' equity. So shareholders' equity at the end of the year plus shareholders' equity at the beginning of the year. And that gives us a 46% return on common shareholders' equity. Debt to stockholders' equity, we're going to use just the ending balances. So we're going to start, the denominator is shareholders' equity, so that's just the number in what we're going to formula we're going to put into H16 is just H15. So we're just going to hit equals and up 1. And then total liabilities from sheet 2, which is right here. So we have a debt to stockholders' equity of 10.4, very high number. It is the means that for every dollar that the shareholders have at risk, the liabilities, the debtors of the organization have $10.40 at risk. But the number of times interest earned is from the income statement. That is earnings. The numerator is earnings before interest and taxes. And the denominator is interest expense right there. And that's it. So even though Boeing has a great deal of liability at risk with their debt to stockholders' equity ratio, they have a very healthy 22.4 number of times interest earned. And that's it. That's the template with all of the formulas in it. And I can display those formulas quickly here. Oops, there we go. And let me make it smaller so you can see it all. So that gives you the working capital, and from my template is just the values that are entered into D9 minus H9. What's in D9 is sheet 2, which is the balance sheet, C11, so you get an idea here as to what all of these highlighted yellow formulas are. So there's all 10 of them, and that's it. So just save that and submit it on Blackboard, and you're done.